It's just something I've been just kind of thinking about with the song "Reincarnated" by Kendrick Lamar on his latest project. I think that style of rapping, that whether you want to call it introspective or storytelling, whatever, that style of rapping, I think above all of, because Kendrick can do different styles and lanes and things like that. I think that lane is the main lane that separates him from somebody like a J. Cole or a Drake. Now, I'm not saying that they can't do a storytelling song or get introspective. Like they can, all three. Like that's the thing. All of them are great in their own right, but I don't think that they could surpass. I don't think that they just surpass Kendrick in that lane. And Kendrick can still rap and do the bops and the hits, or do the intricate, you know, rhyme schemes and bar schemes and punchlines. Like J. Cole, he just doesn't do it as much. That's J. Cole's lane where he shines the most. But Kendrick can do that. You know, Drake, well, we know what's going on with Drake, but over the last, 15 years, I'm saying, like going back through his, career, he's been the one to have the consistent hits and been able to stay on top like that, as long as he has. Whereas Kendrick, he can do that too. He shows you can do it. He just doesn't do it all the time. But this, I don't think that they could match or surpass him in this. Kendrick can match, and I would say surpass Drake when it comes to bops and hits, especially this year. We've seen that. He can, I would say, at least match Drake or Drake, J. Cole, when it comes to what he's doing best. But I don't think that Kendrick can do it as much as far as like the intricate kind of that core East Coast, bar punchline, assembly, type of rap. But he's shown that he can do that, or he'll do it in like a battle rap, kind of style or whatever. But he's more versatile, where he'll start switching his flows up in the middle of the same song. J. Cole, for the most part, he'll kind of keep the same flow scheme. Now he can change his flows. We've seen that, but usually he's not as dynamic as Kendrick. So that's, I think, is what separates Kendrick from these other guys and makes him the best rapper. Being the best rapper, I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but it's not just about straightforward who is rapping the best, because it's gonna come down to styles when you're talking about people, especially I would say Kendrick and J. Cole in particular, because they're more technical than Drake. It just really comes down to what style you prefer, because them in both of their lanes where they shine the most, they pretty much cancel each other out. I would say J. Cole is about as good in his lane as Kendrick is in his. You see what I'm saying? But Kendrick can also go, he can get closer to matching J. Cole in his lane. He just doesn't do it as consistently. I don't think J. Cole could match or surpass this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not saying this to be on some type of thing, because I like J. Cole's music and his style of rapping. Like, he is one of the best at what he does, and all those feature runs and showing that he can still keep up with folks that do different, type of styles that's kind of outside of his default pocket. But when he is in his default lane, yeah, like that's definitely his thing. But Kendrick can definitely, joust with him in there. But I don't know if he can box with him in this type of stuff to this degree. He can do it. Like, he does have songs that have great, storytelling, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if he has anything that surpasses this. And feeling, messaging, concepts, all of this stuff is hip hop. Just as much as, inner bars, outer bars, punchline assemblies and all of this kind of stuff that I would say J. Cole tends to do more and is very well at. But can he outdo Kendrick in a reincarnation type of song, where you have a whole concept that you come up with, and all of these things I think should count. It shouldn't just be, well, the bars have to be like, well, no, that's a style of rap. And I understand that the East Coast, I know he's from, the Carolinas, and New York and all that stuff is pretty close. So that style of rap is more close to the roots of hip hop, and he's doing a great job of carrying that. So I get people from the East Coast are like, well, he's a better rapper from that standpoint, and I can understand that, because I do like when he gets into that bag. Like, yeah, he is great, but Kendrick can rap in that West Coast kind of bounce stuff, like with us, was it Swuggle Up or whatever. Excuse me, with that song, and then excuse me, with that one, and then he can do something that's introspective, like Reincarnation. I don't know if J. Cole could do that as well as far as lyrically, also still, keeping that different rhyme schemes and all these different things going to that degree where you have this whole story like that where you start off just talking like you're talking about yourself and the things that you've gone through in this whole story of being resurrected, and you are this music artist, and as the story is unfolding you start to realize that, okay, well, wait a minute, because now this person's now they're saying to somebody else, and they're going from being a man who's this music artist that got kicked out of his father's house to being a woman who was addicted to drugs and all of these things, and then now he's saying he's Kendrick, the person that's rapping the song, and the whole time or majority of the song he's rapping in a Tupac cadence to a Tupac beat, which makes it seem like that's a double on Reincarnated. Like, oh snap, it's almost like Pac is rapping through him, like his spirit is being reincarnated into him sonically, but then lyrically the song is about reincarnation. So that's a double. That's a creative double. Sonically, he's rapping like Tupac in a song about reincarnation. But in the story, Tupac's not in the story. He's just rapping in the Tupac cadence as if Tupac was rapping through him in the beginning, like, hey y'all, I'm still here with y'all. Do you see that? And when people talk like this, like, oh, see, here y'all go. No, you heard him rapping like that. And the name of the song is Reincarnation. That's not a reach. That's just a creative. That why can't that be just as much hip hop as a internal outward and internal rhyme schemes and bar schemes? Like, that's dope too. But to think of a internal and external double, that part of it is sonically there through tonal and presentation of rapping like your Tupac, but then the other part of the double is in the theme of the song. You have a whole concept about reincarnation, and you sound like you've been reincarnated. Do you see what I'm saying? It wasn't a lyrical punchline double, but that still is a double. That's still rapping. That's still hip hop. That's incredible. Are J. Cole and Drake doing that as much as Kendrick? To that level or beyond? That's what I'm saying. You see what I mean? And then the story unfolds, and then there's more and more until you get the twist at the end. Like, you guys heard the song. He's rapping from, says, Kendrick Lamar and everything like this, and then next thing you know, you realize it's actually him being resurrected from the spirit of, or Satan, who used to be the angel of music, and God is like, have you finally learned your lesson, so you can stop using music as an evil tool and use it for good and things like this. So it's like a what if Satan actually learned his lesson and went back to being an angel, just like he's saying, what if I go back to using music to spread positive messages, which is also hip hop. So there's still that double going on of him saying he's rapping from his perspective as Kendrick, but then also as this spirit that's being reincarnated and finally learned his lesson to his father. So you look at it like he's saying, talking to Kendrick Lamar's dad, who is kicking him out of his house, but the father, as in God, kicking Satan out of heaven, which was their house. But in this what if scenario, he learns, and then now he can go back to heaven or whatever. That's crazy. And that's all hip hop. Those are all doubles and all this stuff. Whilst he's still rhyming and doing your traditional, rhyme schemes. But yeah, that part might be simpler. But if you're somebody who's only focused on the technical, okay, how many similes, and he's rapping and it's like that, and he's doing all of this with different type of internal and external rhyme schemes and everything else. That song doesn't have it, because where he will pull down in that, he'll go up in the story and the concept, because he's trying to tell a story. So now it's not so much about that. I think it's kind of hard for people that like a particular style to then look at this style as being equally as great. I like both styles, so I can see, to me, that's just as equally as great as the stuff that J. Cole does in his lane. But I don't know if J. Cole could match or surpass Kendrick in that lane, whereas Kendrick can at least tussle with Cole in his lane, in my opinion. But what y'all think? Hopefully that makes sense.